What's good? What's good? I'm popping my head in here because my equipment is not working right, so I'm putting that out there. Okay, so bear with me. This is your boy Barry J. We are back. We're at the Cultural Divide Experiment, and right now we are on site. We're going to be doing more on site type of tapings and live things. I want to thank everyone that chimed in about our topic today. Excuse me, mamas raising mamas boys. Okay. So again, mamas raising mamas boys. I want to throw a big shout out to my man KB, Keith Barron out there for chiming in and saying how much, yes, he was raised by his mother, but she balanced it very well. So she wasn't just about mothering and smothering and all the other stuff that was kind of a negative tone where babies, the boys get raised up to be kind of like losing some things, but we're going to get into that a little bit. But I want to introduce some of my guests right now, or two of my guests. The first one is the principal of the school that we're at right now. And can you say, and I'm going to introduce her, Miss Monique Dubai.
Hello.
Say hello.
And hi, everyone. How are you?
And you've been a principal here, and just run the name of the school down for us and some of the things that you've been doing here and some of the programs that you're running.
Awesome. So I am the newly appointed, well, not new, but a half a year in at Fort Worthington Elementary Middle School, number 85. We're located in the Berea community of East Baltimore, which is a little east of Hopkins. I've been the principal here just this school year. We actually...
That was me.
are in the works of preparing for our Mother and Son Summit, but we also are celebrating our African American history on February 22nd at 5 o'clock with our Black History Showcase. In addition, it is budget season, and so we will be hosting our community budget forum that evening as well. So if you are a part of our community, we would like your voice to be included in our decision making for the 18-19 school year. So we welcome you to the fort. I tell everyone we are the village, and our vision is to ensure positivity and collaboration with the community to make sure that our students have the best possible outcome for success. So I thank you so much for welcoming me here tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Welcome. And our second guest, she is a second-time guest for the Culture Divide Experiment, Miss Rachel Docene. Make sure I get that right.
You could have said Dolce
or Dolce or the other version. And she is the event coordinator for the up-and-coming Mothers and Sons Summit. And Rachel, why don't you break that down for us? Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so I'm really excited about this event, and I was so happy when Principal Dubai agreed to have the event here. That was obviously a very exciting part of all this, is actually having a location that's in the city and a principal in a school that supports kind of the whole mother and son relationship. So next Saturday, which is the 17th, we're having a full day Mothers and Sons Summit. It's going to be a packed day of learning, of interactive activities. We're going to have food. There's always got to be food. We're going to have some fun things for the boys to do and fun things for the moms to do. The point of the event, the reason why I'm actually hosting this, is because I think it's important for the mother and son relationship to be cultivated. And as a mom myself of a son, what I learned when I had my son was that mothering a son is a skill. It is, mothering period is a skill, but mothering a son is a skill. There's things you have to learn, especially if you're a woman raising a son. There's things you have to learn. We're in a school, so school stuff happening in a school.
Hey, that's why we're live. Anything can happen while we're live. So me peeking my head in, that's us live, okay?
Yeah. But with everything that's happening today in the world, in Baltimore, let's narrow it down to Baltimore, especially with our brown and black boys. Lots of them who are being raised by single mothers who want their sons to be successful, or married moms who want their sons to be successful, but they're really struggling with being able to build that relationship with their sons, to communicate with their sons. I had a mother tell me that she's coming because she feels that she's lost her son. Her son is not a bad kid. He's a good kid. He gets great grades in school, but she feels like she's not a part of his life anymore. He's gotten older. He's in high school now, and she feels like I don't know how to get through to him. Am I getting through to him? We don't talk. Like, boys change when they get older. So this summit is going to be an opportunity for mothers and sons to gain some skills around building their relationships, strengthening their relationships, and learning how to communicate and solve conflict.
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. I love it. Now, and yours truly, I'm popping my head back in, is actually going to be one of the facilitators / hosts of the Fireside Chat, which is where we're going to be talking about our young boys surviving in this culture and this environment. And I'm looking forward to that, especially someone from some of the topics we've had on our show when we talked about kind of code switching.
Yes.
When we go into the workplace and the different personality or different being we may have to play in order to survive in certain worlds. So I am truly looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I like the fact that when you mentioned that to me, because it was kind of going to be something completely different.
Yes.
And as we talked about it and we went through it, it was like, this is something that there's no training for this anywhere. This is real life where we have to figure out. I remember going to a predominantly white institution for college, but that was a shell shock when you go into a room and you're the only person of color and 300 other folks in an auditorium in English 101. And then all your own kind of personal stuff starts getting in your head, like, all right, I don't want to be the guy that's always late, so I got to make sure I'm there early. I don't want to actually leave early because I don't want to be the guy that's, he's never around. Or just some of the extra stuff that you put on yourself as you go through this. But getting to our topic today, some of you have actually seen, I'm poking my head in again, some of you have actually seen where we were talking about mamas raising mama's boys. And that has been a hot topic today because I've had some women chime in and say, oh, Lord, this joker here. Or I've had some brothers chime in and say, hey, my mama raised me. She raised me right. And at the same time, my current wife was like, I'm not sure you're marrying material. Then she actually met his mother. Shout out to UKB. And she was like, okay, you're good. You're good. So mothers are doing it right. In other cases, we're seeing that mamas are raising mama's boys and setting them up for failure, and they're not quite where they need to be. And that's going to be our topic today. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And you guys are not in the hot seat, but
he says it's on
air
air
now.
now.
I know. On the air.
Right.
Full disclosure. But because I got you, But I will say this. You guys are going to be representing, and I'm hoping that we have some open dialogue. We're going to probably be on for about 30 minutes or so or less, but we're going to get into some things, and this is kind of going to lead into the Mothers and Sons Summit. And there are a lot of things that I want to start off with. First, here at the fort, I like that you call it the fort. It's kind of, when you drive up, it is kind of like that. Would you say, and you don't have to have exact numbers, but do you feel as though that is the norm? Like there's the majority mothers raising boys right now?
Majority. So actually, that could be an assumption. We had a Donuts for Dads event back in, I want to say October, November. And we had men by the hundreds.
By the hundreds?
By the hundreds. And so we have a population of 725 scholars here. But there were many dads and uncles. But I would say that when we had Muffins with Moms, we had a significant amount of mothers out with their sons. But I think that the assumption in the Black community is that there are a lot of single mothers. And what I'm finding here at the fort is that we have a lot of two-parent households.
Nice.
That we want to actually glorify that and get that out that, there aren't just a lot of single mothers. But I would say typical, maybe half and half.
Okay. But I like the fact that you said assumption. Because a lot of times that is the assumption. It's... And when you're out in the street and you see certain things, and the news tells us a different story or certain stories, I got to mention this, but it was a young brother that just was signed with a college, and his mother didn't like his choice, and it actually showed her jumping up after he made his choice and walking off the stage or the kind of platform and cameras, obviously upset. She came back a few minutes later and was like, okay, gave him a hug, showed him love to support. But there are so many things in our relationships. And I think of mothers and sons and the relationships that we have. I think of my wife and our son. Now, he is not my biological son. I've known him since he was 3-4 years old, so I claim him. But I know they had some headbutting going on when it came to when they were young. They were ride or die, both of them.
Right.
You know, but then that those teenage years start creeping in.
Jesus.
Then you start creeping into like, I gotta work. Then there's two of us in the household and we're both working, and he's off by himself in some cases.
Right.
And we had some challenges. There was some serious challenges there, but then at the same time, we as parents had to step back and say, okay, we're working too much. Because at the end of the day, if we do this and he's not here, there's a problem. So you answered the question about that assumption, and I love the dads with donuts. I did that with my daughter at her school, and that was just the donuts were stale, but I was just like being around her and in that environment. So it was good seeing that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Okay, and my next question is this: the mothers and sons that you see here at the fort, what kind of relationships are you seeing on a normal basis?
There's a wide range of relationships. You have the helicopter mothers.
Mm-hmm. I'm a helicopter dad, so
that's just typical of 2018. You have the helicopter moms. You have the moms who are working 3 and 4 jobs. Some marginal labor jobs, and so they're working overnight, and they aren't able to be as present in their children's lives. You have the mothers who believe that once they drop them off at 7:45, they are my children. We have the moms who are very involved, who volunteer. So it's a wide range. I wouldn't say that, we lean more towards a type of mom, but there's a wide range. We have very active and involved parents, mothers.
I love that.
And so the mother-son relationships, they remind me of my relationship with my son.
Okay.
Come here, baby. What you need? What's wrong? Catering to our sons as if they are our men.
Interesting.
And I see that a lot, and I'll own it. I love my baby, but he's also my youngest. And so
why do you think that is?
Why do I think that
Because
is?
and we had a little off camera conversation earlier. But so your daughter said that. Your daughters are like, oh, you baby him. Why do you do that?
My 15-year-old daughter, shout out to Indigo if you're watching this. She believes, and she was reading something in some science magazine, and she says that when mothers are pregnant with their sons, that the fetus releases some type of chemical that alters the mother's body or something. Yeah, and so I need to look into this. I swear I'll tell you.
Now you have to do some research now, right? Right.
And she says that it makes mothers more submissive to their sons and more coddling to their sons. And she was like, he's basically got control of your mind. And I was like, what? But then there's also that he's the youngest, and so he's my baby boy. But I think that a bigger part of that for me is that I want to love my son enough before he gets out into this world and meets the harsh realities of what he faces as a black man.
Interesting.
And so I'm extra my baby because I know that in a few short years, he's about to be 9, I'm going to have to release him into this world. And I want him to feel loved enough and strong enough and confident enough to face what he's going to face in this world as a young black man.
Okay. Rachel, you and your son, your relationship.
And as Mr. Bai is speaking, I'm just like, wow. There's a lot of similarities there. So Julius is our only child. And so, they have a saying that says that mothers love their sons and raise their daughters. In that the way that if you have daughters and you have sons, you kind of do the way you raise them is differently. And I think if you're a very reflective mother, you would agree that for reasons we can give a whole slew of reasons why they're different.
Right.
So I was a helicopter mom until he got to middle school, and then the middle school actually told me you need to back off.
Really?
Because he needs to start to learn to be responsible, to consequences. So, for example, if he would leave homework at home, I would bring it for him.
Oh.
Instead of having him have the consequence of you have detention or you have a point off because you bring your homework late, right? That type of stuff.
So mom was a safety net.
Mom was a safety net, and kind of felt like, isn't that what mothers are supposed to be? Kind of like that. Like, I want him to be always happy to come home and not, even if he messes up, not look at home as that place that's they're going to demean me, they're going to judge me, they're going to, he'll know that mom or dad will lay it into you, but it's a safe place. That really was not a safe place, meaning emotionally, stuff like that. It was not the kind of place I grew up in. And so for me, I was being very purposeful in that. The downside of that is you try to make up for what you didn't have growing up in your children. And that really does them a disservice.
So you said something, and then I'm going to chime in on that. Happy to come home. So you want to make sure that, and I think, Mr. Bow, you said the same thing, you're about to release them into this world. You want them to know, like, love is here.
Yeah.
Right, you have a safe place.
You don't have to worry about it. This is love right here. Come on home. So, but is that preparation, or is that kind of covering that blanket of naivete?
And that's a conundrum.
That is a conundrum. So go into that. You said things that you were missing yourself.
So that's what I've had to learn as a mother with Julius, is the things that I thought I didn't have growing up emotionally, not really, what's the word, materialistically, but more mentally, emotionally. I try to do that for him. But Julius is Julius. Julius is not Rachel. And so what Julius needs when he was Rachel's age is not what Rachel needed when Rachel was Rachel's age. And so I've had to learn that I have to love him. I have to give him what he needs based on his needs, not based on my own holes in my heart that I need to fill. And I think that's how we end up raising mama's boys. Because mothers turn their sons, they project onto their sons, whether it's the type of man they wish they had, or who they wish their daddy was, or it could be reversed. I don't like your father, so all the stuff I wish I could tell him, I'm gonna tell you.
You remind me so much. You look just like
that. Exactly.
I heard that.
And so even those kind of mothers end up having mama's boys, because those boys spend their entire lifetime to please their mother. So they can't be a husband, they can't be a dad, they can't be a baby daddy, whatever other kind of a boyfriend, because they spend all their time trying to please their first love, which is their mother, who they will never please because she has her own issues.
It's funny you said that. So, like, I'm going to use my wife as an example. She's normally on the show, but she's traveling from Buffalo. So, baby, be safe, all right? I know she just showed me a picture.
There?
It's snowing there. So, I'm hoping. It looks like she's live. So, I'm like, you're supposed to be on the plane. You're supposed to be on the plane, taking off. That was supposed to be at 5-something. So, if you're live and watching, oh, Lord, so I guess we'll see you a little bit later. But I remember a conversation she had with her sister and her mother when she first had her son, and she was like, I don't need a man, I don't need anyone, it's going to be me and my son. And they both looked at her and said, baby, you need a man in your life.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's not, you can't get everything you need from your child.
You got to teach him to be a man.
Right.
He needs a man for that.
Yes.
And it's funny because now his father was involved, and I know if you snap his fingers, he's going to jump. He's going to be right in there just because he loves his son. But there are a lot of folks that are not there. A lot of men that are not around. And I'm loving the fact that, and earlier this year, some of the schools when they were first opening, men were showing up. And just congratulating the kids on coming, cheering them on. Come, I love that. I saw that in the news. Oh, man, I didn't hear about I'd have gone down too, just to cheer some.
We will be doing that next year. The Tuesday after Labor Day. So, men, we will be doing a call to action. So look out for that.
That'd be so cool.
It is, and there's something good about it. And some of the trainings I've done in the past, when they bring on new employees or when they're trying to close a big business, when they bring on, I say, if they're bringing in someone real big for some big business they want to close, they have all the employees line up and just clap when the folks come in and say, thank you for your business, blah, 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 blah. But clapping makes you feel good.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, wow, who wouldn't feel good about going into the first day of school when you see this parade of just clapping and laughter and say, good luck, have a good day, all that good stuff. So I commend all my brothers and men who showed up to do that. And I want to go back to something you guys were saying about you got to have a man raise that man, that young man. How does that work when men are not present?
You need a village. That's where the whole concept where you need a village to raise. And I said it on another show that I just did recently. A mother cannot be a mother and a father. And people can fight me on that all they want. From now till I go see Jesus, you can't. There's a distinct role a mom has and a distinct role a father has. The question then becomes, what if I'm a single mother and the father doesn't want to be involved? Just like you invest in other types of things for your child, you need to invest in finding a relationship for your son, and I don't mean a dating one. It could be a coach, it could be a mentor, it could be an older cousin. You need to invest in finding a match for your son, who is a man, who can help raise your son to be a man. Because mothers cannot do that. My mom raised 3 boys, and she could not. There's lots of stuff that I see my husband doing with Julius that my mom just
didn't do or couldn't do.
How to pee in a toilet, how to tie it. I mean, there's just something about that whole relationship with a male figure that's, I think it's really important. And so that's where the village comes in. As a mother, your job is not just to nurture, meaning your own nurture. Part of nurturing is finding nutrients. We do it with food. We clothe them. We provide a roof over their head. So why don't we think that finding them the right male match is just as important as food, clothes, emotional support, etc., etc. It's just as important.
Interesting, because I'm going to go back to something Miss Dubai said earlier about giving that strong love to letting your son know that this is a safe zone versus the kind of that nature versus nurture thing. You know, and it's funny to me because I remember like my father being involved, and I can tell you right now, I stayed out of trouble because I was more scared of my father, what he was going to do to me. Like that was me. That was real for me. It was quite a few times I could have veered down the wrong path, but I thought about what Pops would do, and I'm like, oh nah, man, I might have to stay in jail just because I don't know what he's going to do to me. You know, like he scares me that much. So I'm always about that healthy dose of fear. But you mentioned village, and I'm going to go back to. This is the nickname. The village is the nickname for this school. You are the village. The fort, the village. And how does that feel to be a village? Do you see? I know you mentioned the dads with donuts, and what other things that are you doing?
Something else that I've strategically done is I've hired a lot of black men. I've hired a lot of men. But it was important.
And that was
to
a
me.
strategy. You said that was a
strategy,
purpose.
definitely. Even in my support staff, because we are a school who's founded on restorative practices, and so that's relationship based, getting to know each other, getting to understand each other, this whole sense of community. My children needed to see people who look like them in positions that they would want to attain, right? And that relationship is very important. You know, they have someone they can go to, you know, when they're in a crisis or when they just have a question, or, you know, it's time to fill out job applications for my 14-year-olds, and they have men that they can go to who are now considered Uncle Dixon and, you know, Dad, Coach D. You know, it's not just, you know, Mr. So-and-so and Mr. So-and-so. These are people that they forge in relationships with. And those people are able to, they're from the community. They know people in the community. They know grandma. They know auntie. You know, when things go on, we do home visits. We're a family. And so they have that male, female. You know, they consider me mom, and they consider my assistant principal dad. And they have that relationship, and they even do the good cop, bad cop with us. You know, well, Mr. Bias said, you know.
Just like it being at home, right?
Exactly. But something that you touched on about that strong love is that, you know, for us, women being more emotional beings, me teaching my son how to feel and not to suppress his emotions is something different from dad saying, boy, man up, wipe those tears, cut that out. But there has to be a delicate balance, right? And so I think a lot of our men feel that way because their emotions were suppressed and they didn't have the mother to say, you know what, if you hurt yourself, it's okay to cry, but now let's dust yourself off and get moving. And so you see this dichotomy where you had the father, shut it up, get yourself together, because that's the way he was taught.
Right.
And you have mom doing the coddling and the holding. Well, I want my son to be emotionally intelligent. I want him to be able to say, you know what, I'm hurting right now. That hurt me. You know, and feel okay to cry if he needs to. You know how many of my boys here are walking around and they are ticking time bombs because they were taught that it is weak
to show emotion.
Feel, to show emotion. And so what happens is when they finally decide to show that emotion, it's violent. You know, it's going to cost them their life or their freedom. So I feel like they definitely need men to show them that rational and logical side, but they need that tender nurturing of a woman.
Right.
You know, it's so important. But it's, again, a fine balance because I don't want you walking around crying all the time about everything.
Right.
But I don't want that for my daughters either. Like, I'm like, toughen up, get it together.
Yep.
I love that.
But it's like that yin and yang, you know?
Yep.
We're going to hashtag
That's a book,
that.
by the way.
It is, and it's something that's lacking in all young people.
And I'm going to shout it out because it saved my life. So research proves that emotional intelligence is a bigger indication of success than your IQ.
I've actually read that.
So I highly recommend.
Yeah,
you want to get yourself together.
Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
2.0 has a survey and everything. Help you get to know yourself. And others.
Yep.
I actually read that book
sometime. It's a good one. Saved my life.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, and we're talking about the emotions of men. And I had a brother. He's been on the show a couple of times. Andre, what's up, Mr. Dobbins? But after my father passed, he called me up, and it was probably maybe a month, maybe 2 months later, and he was like, "Yo, B, how's everything? And don't give me I'm all right." Yeah. He looked like I want I don't mind you being in touch with your feelings, and he's a cool dude. So it's not like he's just like really highly emotional, but he's like, we don't have to bottle that stuff up.
Right.
So hey man, look, listen, thank you for asking. I am doing okay. I appreciate it, but I deal with my emotions. You don't suppress them down. I don't suppress them down just because I've learned over the years that you're right. You become that ticking time bomb, and you just blow up on any and everybody just because you have not dealt with it. And for me being a person of color in corporate America, the wrong thing to do, because then all of a sudden you become the angry black man.
Or the angry black woman.
Or the angry black woman, so a lot of these behaviors are learned and taught. And from a mama's boy perspective, you have some adult men still crying for mama.
Preach.
And what happened where at some point adulthood kicked in? Mom, thank you for getting me up to this point. Now I'm moving on. How can I help you? Versus, I want my mom. Now, I'm not saying...
Or get in a relationship with a woman and want the woman to be their mom.
Right.
Exactly.
Or choose their mom over their wife or their woman. Because that's immature, too.
Ooh.
That's a mama's boy, too.
I've seen that. I've seen people...
Leave and cleave.
I've actually had people call me and was like, do you know what he just did? He called his mama. I said, wait a minute, y'all were arguing? And he called his mother? I was like, I got nothing. Because I couldn't do that in my household.
Right.
It's just some things aren't going to go down that way. But I'm asking you to, just because you see young men out here, and then that's kind of the focus that you have. You're hiring black men. Rachel, you have black men coming in for your event because you want folks to see like-minded individuals or people that look just like me. That could be me in 30, 40 years, or less. So I love that. But when you're putting on this event and you're thinking about emotional intelligence, what goes into that? How are you seeing your event go through and preparing these young men for the mistakes that could be made at home, are being made at home? Because I know that's part of the reason why you're doing this.
So it was really important for me to have both mother and son attend. So that's why it's not just for sons, it's not just for mothers. Because a part of it is equipping the son separately and the mother separately. And I have them in separate workshops because there are times when a son, after a while, mom sounds like wah, 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 because it's going in one ear and out the other because he's just tired of hearing her mouth. So there's workshops that are going to have that are separate. However, there are workshops they're going to do together because learning to work together, to communicate together in a healthy way is important. If a son does not learn how to communicate with his mother effectively, well, in a healthy way, he can never do that with a woman, with a wife, or he can't. It's impossible.
It just won't be there.
It just won't be there. If a mother doesn't understand what a boy needs at each developmental level and how to communicate with him, that communication has to change. So the older he gets, the more you start to break. You need to start to back up, because the leave and cleave, eventually he's going to start a family of his own, and his family is no longer you. It's his wife and his children.
Wow.
And then that's hard for a mom. We've carried them for 40 weeks, sometimes more. If that chemical thing is true, they got us into some voodoo. From the get-go. We need like a whole deliverance. We may need some sage or something.
Right.
So that's why it was important for me, because I also agree that emotional intelligence, when I've seen it in the workplace, is something, even for me, myself, as a woman, that has hindered me a lot in having successful relationships at work, and making a lot of mistakes just around handling my own emotions, because I just wasn't taught how to do that. And so this is a whole day of teaching mothers and sons. Let's wipe the slate clean. Let's talk about some of those bad habits that we have. Raising mama's boys is one of them. Let's talk about some of those habits, some of those bad bricks we've used to build our homes. Let's talk about the foundation. Let's knock that building down. We're going to rebuild that foundation, and here's where you go from here. And so that was very important for me to do, because mothering is a skill, and you have to practice it. You have to educate yourself about it. You have to read books. You have to attend workshops. You have to network with other moms. It is not something that you can just do just to do. You have to be very strategic about being a mom and raising any child. But for me, because a man is a covering for his home, I think that there are specific things that boys need to learn in order to do that when they become the head of their households.
True.
And running back to mama is not...
It's not an option.
It should not be an option. But it becomes an option when that boy either marries his mother, right? Or marries somebody who's so far away from his mother because he hates her.
Now, it's funny you said that, because I've known some cats growing up, and it is truly, it feels like they hate their mama. And that's based on, and I use the word hate seriously because I've seen how they treat women. No respect for women whatsoever. And I'm like, yo, what happened to you that just kind of put you on this path? You know, like, you all right? Nah, man, I'm good. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve what? I mean, what has this young lady here done to you that you feel as though you need to be so demeaning and evil? And I use the word evil because I've seen it towards a woman. Like, you don't have any self-love towards that woman in any capacity that you feel as though that's how you need to treat them. And like, what happened? And a lot of times, like, oh no, man, they just don't deserve it.
Mommy issues.
Truly.
Mommy issues. Most of the men that I have encountered, not in my relationship, who treat women in a demeaning manner, though, they have some animosity or some issues with their own mother, you know. And when your bookends, mother, father, don't love you and nurture you, and you know, you have a hard time connecting to others, you know. And those mommy issues are serious. They manifest in those relationships.
I used to clown my wife when we were younger. Our son was younger. And I'll never forget, there was a time he was riding his bike, and she was watching him from the back porch, and he actually rode right into a fence. Bam! Just fell off, hit his face, the whole nine. And guess what she did? She laughed.
She laughed?
She laughed.
I done had
I would have been running out. I would have been dropping whatever I was doing out there. Like, oh my goodness.
But she's like that, because there was one time I tried to jump a fence and missed the fence. And she tried, and it was bad. You know, I fell straight down, and she was like, oh, baby, you okay? You know, so I'm like, yeah, I still love you, baby. You know, so I still love you. So, but I mean, she did laugh, and he was mad. You know, why are you laughing at me? She was like, you're okay, you're okay.
Right.
And he did get up. Nothing was broken, you know, but that there was a bond that they have. You know, that's not anything I can come in between. I mean, they forged that in fire and in birth, you know, that chemical. But there was, I'm gonna research that too. Okay? But that chemical, that's serious. But I've seen how the relationship has changed over the years. I've seen how they've grown together. I saw when they grew apart. I saw when they're starting to come back together again as he reaches adulthood. Adulthood is strange for a 20-something-year-old young man, and he still wants to kind of be in the middle. because not quite ready to be on their own, but not quite ready to be, I don't want to listen to everything you say.
Right.
So there's a fine line.
I'm going to try to turn that off.
Oh, okay,
I
no
think
problem.
the feedback, I'll be right back.
No worries, no worries. And
But I
again,
don't think growing apart is a bad thing.
Mhm.
So when you study child development, they'll tell you that the middle childhood, which is that middle school going into high school, and for some developmentally, you can even last through high school, that at that point, the most important growth development for kids that age is social emotional. So their peers, friends, their social circles. So you'll have kids come and say, their friends suddenly know more than their moms, or their teachers know more than their moms. And moms feel like, wow, he seems to be more connected to his teacher than he is to me. So it's a social emotional, so that disconnection is not really a disconnection, really. We have different phases we go through in life. If you look at plants or any type of life that grows, there's pruning, there's different phases. Now they're pruning trees down to the branches down to like the stubs. When spring comes, that thing is like nothing happened.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think relationships and raising children are very much like that. We go through seasons. It's just a different season. And as mothers, if we don't adjust ourselves, because they're growing and developing, we can't control that.
Right.
So if we don't adjust the way that we interact with our sons, the way we communicate with them, by the time they reach that late high school and adulthood, it's almost like it's kids we don't know. Because we haven't, it's not up to them to adjust. They're growing and developing. We have to now say, okay, he's now in a different season of his life.
He's not
What
13
do I
anymore.
need? Right. What do I need in order to be the mom for him in this season? We don't do that very well because they're still our baby boys.
Right.
I still look at pictures of Julius when he was 2, when he was in the bathtub, and I go find have his little socks when he came home from the hospital. No, ask my husband. He's like, what is your problem?
Right.
Out my little box, and oh my God, look how small. I called Julius, look at this was your hat.
This is your hat. You still that emotional connection.
And prayer is just like, oh my goodness, leave him alone. Right? But that's just how, and if we don't learn that letting go is a part of, in cultures, boys are the ones who leave home, right? Start your own. Girls always go and live with the extended family, right?
Interesting.
We normally pay for the girl's wedding. When a boy gets married,
He's
most of
on
the
his own.
time, and the girl's family may help to pay.
Right.
So when you look at all those type of traditions that we don't really think about, are we preparing our boys to be disconnected from us? Meaning you're leaving and cleaving. You're now starting a whole unit. You can love me, we can still have our relationship, but you're not my little boy anymore. You're not my this or that, my little man, I hate that term anyway, anymore. You're now your wife's man, your wife's provider, your wife's emotional support. If we don't learn to do that very well, we really do that boy a disservice. And the woman, and his children, your grandchildren, and the parent, the mother of these children, you do them a real disservice.
Wow.
By not getting our stuff together.
Now you mentioned something, and I want to throw this out there to you. Your sons, are they kings or princes?
Well, I've never used either term.
Okay. Well, somebody has.
That
Right? Somebody has. That came up when I started talking about this, and someone used it, and it's. I would just like to get yours. So, Rachel, we know you don't use that term at all.
But if I did, he would probably be a prince.
Okay.
There's only one king in our home.
Ah.
When you have your own home,
You're the king.
in any dynasty, only one person's king. You're a prince. You may be soon to be king, but you're not king.
So in other words, and this is how I saw it. It wasn't until someone brought it up on my page, and I was like, wow, I never would have thought of that. But in our household, it's like, yeah, young prince. You know, and once you become when you're a king, you're in your own space.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
Hello.
That's what I preach to my son, is that I'm preparing you for kingship.
To be kings.
I'm preparing you for your crown. Preparing you to be a king. You are a black man. You are going to be a king. And so he's like, okay, you know, he's 8.
It doesn't matter.
He's like, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Like, okay, mom.
I get to do what I want to do at that point.
Right.
No bedtime. Video game all night. King me.
King me, right? So what do you think the folks that use kings for their sons? What do you think that's
I think I allude that to what Rachel was saying about man, you know, and, you know, little man, and growing your son up too fast, you know. I think also, sometimes when there is a home without a man at the head of the household, our sons are pushed into some things a little too fast.
They become kings.
They become kings. They become the head of their household, the man in the home.
Because they have no choice.
Have no choice.
Because mom has put them in that position.
And not even to a fault of her own. She might not even know.
Not even realize
Right.
it.
Might not even know, but
That's the cycle.
Those
Yes.
nights, when those bills are, overdue and you're stressed and you're emotional and you cry and it just so happens your son walks in and come here, baby, mommy's so stressed. And you may not, say what's going on, but depending on him, that chemical.
Right. That.
Depending on him that moment, I see that a lot with my my older boys, my middle schoolers, and even fourth or fifth graders, the ones who are in single parent homes. They weigh a heavy burden. They have a heavy burden. They're responsible for their siblings. They're responsible for the safety of their mother and their family. And they feel that, and so having to come to school and be a child and follow someone's rules when I'm an adult.
When I'm at home.
Outside of these doors. I'm grown. I'm a king, right?
Wow.
And now I have to come in here and, someone's telling me
what to do.
Right.
Whereas when I'm at home, I do what I want to do. When I want to do it.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I only came in here because I wanted to.
Yes. And
Right.
so I emphasize that with my staff. Take the time to get to know what's going on in the home, because a lot of times what's considered disrespect is not disrespect. They don't respect your authority because they are the authority when they're not here.
Ooh.
And, Rachel, I was, when you were saying that the teacher was telling you, you have to back off in middle years to a certain extent. And so, teaching that responsibility, yes. But when children are in middle school, they need their parents more. And what we see is that, our elementary school kids, the parents are here. By the time they get to 5th or 6th grade, that parent support kind of backs off because they think they're teaching their children to be more independent. Parents,
Why is that?
Your children need you more.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Because that adolescence and those preteen
he needed me
ages,
more
when
now. Yep.
the hormones are changing and they're learning themselves and figuring themselves out, it's scary. It's kind of like that.
Self-esteem takes a...
Yes.
I've seen it in my child.
Yeah, and so they need that active parent at that time, those active parents at that time.
Yep.
And social media has changed that for us for coming up because we didn't have social media growing up.
Grateful that I didn't.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, I said I would never.
On the topic right now.
Where I'm at right now.
Look, I can honestly say I could never run for office if that was the case. I don't want to run for office now anyway. Just little skeletons out there that might come up, But social media, man, I'd have been in trouble. But I see this, and the coping mechanism now is social media. It's not, I'm gonna go talk to my mom about what I'm upset about. It's I'm tapping into this. Mom's tripping. Hashtag mom's tripping.
But moms do it too. We
Exactly.
model that. We model that for our children.
Oh yeah.
So they're copying the coping mechanism.
They're copying the coping mechanism. I've only recently realized that in my house how much we're on the phone. And my husband tells me all the time, "You're always on your phone." I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I look at Julius, who's my son, or Joshua, who's my nephew. As soon as they get home from school, it's no longer, "Hi, Mom," we have a little conversation. They pull out the phone, and until it's bedtime.
Yeah.
Bedtime, really?
Until it's bedtime, and I don't even consciously notice it until one night I put my phone away and I'm looking around the house and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!"
Wow.
But that's what we've modeled for them.
So, all right, I gotta dig deeper because this has come up on one of our shows before. The coping skills of our adults are not there. Like I actually had, we had teachers on one time, and basically she said that a mother called in. It's an emergency. I need to speak to my daughter. Okay. Well, she's taking a test right now. It's an emergency. I need to speak to my daughter. Very like adamant. Like, okay, obviously it must be an emergency. Daughter comes in, picks up the phone. Yeah, Mom, what's going on? And Verizon needs the Wi-Fi password. I don't know what the Wi-Fi password is. And I was and as they're telling me this, and my head dropped like, what? My mouth? What? Who and what?
That's they call upstairs, get me the remote.
Exactly. that happened to me once before, as a child, Hey, man, go get the remote for me, man, And it's funny you said that, too, because when my pops would always send us on runs. Hey, man, go grab me a beer. Go get the remote. And I remember I just knew to do that. My brother, he was 5 years younger than me. Hey, man, go get me a beer. And he was so happy-go-lucky. Why don't you go get it yourself?
How? Did he get a punch in the throat?
Oh, man, I looked over like, what? Hey, man, go get my beer. And he happily came back over. Pop, pop. When I asked for something, I expect you to do it. Never happened again, but I remember sitting there with a smile like, oh, all right, I'm just making sure there's no double standards here, because I know I would have caught that, So, I mean, but I had a sidetrack there because I had a moment. But these coping skills, where are these young mothers or young adults, young kids learning to cope? Now, I hear what you're saying. You're hiring more black men for them to interact, and this is a relationship built kind of community, the village. So they're not just looking at something, they're getting to know the students or the scholars, is what I like the way you did that, the scholars. I'm catching up now. So where's the coping skills coming in when they're not getting it at home? How do we help folks who don't know how to cope in this real world that we live in?
So, we have secured a lot of mental health resources. And so we have different outside providers who come into our school. We also have the support of, it's a multi-tiered support system, it's called, and it's a climate and culture support. And they've trained our staff on restorative practices. With the restorative practices, we engage in restorative circles. And during those circles, children learn how to communicate with each other. And it starts off very simple with, it might be, what did you do over the weekend? Until you build that safe container within that class. The end goal, and not even the end goal, but the big goal of that is to teach children to be comfortable with communicating so that they get to the place where they can communicate when they're in distress. When they can communicate when there's a conflict. Because they now have relationships with these people that they can trust. And so now when something happens in the home, in circle today, we might be talking about, tell us a time when you were afraid. And somebody might come out and say, you know what, I was afraid this morning when I got up and my lights weren't on. Because they built these trust and relationships with the 25 kids in their class and their teacher. Or if they're not comfortable sharing it in circle time, then being able to go to that adult who you have a relationship with and saying, hey, this is what's going on right now, I need some help. And what we've seen in just years past, I've been in the district for 11 years now. Our children have not been equipped with that because their parents have not been equipped with that because their parents have not been equipped with that. Our culture is suck it up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and keep it moving. You ain't got time to feel. You also ain't got no time to get no help because you ain't crazy. Right?
Oh, wow. We had that show before where mental health issues is not, no, they just need some more prayer.
But I mean, when it goes way back to if it goes way back to even times of slavery, we're culturally built to compartmentalize and to only respond in crisis. Yes. Right?
Yes.
Because when you think about, I'm a slave, I'm working in the cotton fields, if I do certain things, I get beat. If your child is there crying because they're hungry, you and the child gets beat. So what does the mother teach her child to do? Quiet. Don't talk. Don't cry. Don't let them see the tears. When you do that for 400 years? I don't know how many generations are that. It becomes a psychological marker. It becomes a psychological scar, and it mutates. And so this issue of emotional intelligence, this issue of coping, just living to survive, is something that across the diaspora of color, black and brown folks, you've had to do. You're just living to survive. And that's something I've really struggled with as an immigrant coming from a different country, coming to America, which for a lot of immigrants is a land of dreams, right? So you come here and you realize that there are so many people who have the same color as you. They live from day to day to survive. A lot of folks they may think about the future, but when you look at a kid who gets angry and resorts to fighting, he's living for that moment, right? He's living for one of the two of us gotta express himself, gotta get it out, and it's gonna be me. So I'm gonna beat you to a pulp because in this moment, this is what I've been raised to do, is to respond to this moment. I'm not thinking about, well, if you hit him, what are the rules? What is you can't think through those processes,
right?
Because you're always in flight mode. You're always in flight mode. Not even fight mode. You're always in flight mode. Fight mode. I'm sorry, not flight.
Mode, right.
You're always in fight mode. Because when you look historically at just black and brown folks who are in this part of the world, that's what it's been. Now, if you look at black and brown folks in other parts of the world, you may see other ways of coping. But what I have seen from coming just from, like I said, an immigrant from Jamaica, coming to live in a community that's predominantly Black Americans, that is one thing I've seen as a coping. Is you live in environments that are so hostile, that are so violent, that are so ever-changing, within systems that care very little for you. All you teach your kids to do is for you to survive, not for your schoolmate to survive. For you, you need to survive until tomorrow, and if that means at the expense of someone else, that's and it's not. It looks like this an awful thing, but
no, that's
as
the reality.
what the boss said, when you look deeper, you realize this is not disrespect. This is not violence. This is this kid. The only way he's been taught to survive is to make sure you come out on top.
Wow. That's real. And that goes back to slavery.
Really
It
absolutely. That's why they sold each other out.
To the overseer part. It's like, let me beat you so the overseer won't beat you.
Right. Or I'm going to act like I'm not connected to you because I don't want to get, or I'm in the big house and you're in the field. So those are all psychological, and you do it over and you repeat something over and over and over and over. It becomes ingrained and it's passed on.
Indeed.
Something that resonates with me too is control. And so when all of the circumstances in your life you have no control over, and when someone steps to you and you get to take up for yourself, it's like you are controlling
that
this
piece.
moment. How you talk to me, I'm going to control. And
because I can't control anything else in my life right now, but this right here.
This right here, and so I hear that a lot. Disrespecting me, I had to handle that. I can't let that go. I'm not letting that go. And it's that this one thing right here
is the only thing in your life.
Maneuver. I can manipulate this right here. I have control over this right here because everything else is happening to me.
Yes.
Wow. And it's, it just, touches on that, like that trauma-informed care. How many of our people are traumatized?
Yep.
On the regular.
Family structure is traumatizing. Not even, the violence and what's going on in our homes is traumatizing.
Yeah.
Listen, I got to say, this has been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to cut us off here just because we have this event coming up where we're going to be touching on some of these things. I want to thank you for welcoming us into your school.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to say thank you for the restorative practices. I've never heard that before, and that's always been my question. What's being done out there? So I want to say thank you to your schools, your teachers, your administration for having the foresight of saying, okay, we're not just trying to put a Band-Aid on this. We're trying to actually fix this at the root. And Rachel, I want to say thank you for having this event and teaching and showing, and because there's going to be some coping mechanisms and teaching skills in this, and mothers and sons are going to be able to take something away from this where that actually might have changed my life and put me on a different path completely. So we're going to close it out there, folks. And want to say thank you again. Say bye, ladies.
Bye. And before we go, I'm going to post a link for registration. We are pretty much almost full. We're probably going to have to cut registration early because we're at that mark of being full. So I'm going to post the links. If you want to get those last few slots, get them tonight or tomorrow because by Saturday, Sunday, we're going to have to close on registration because we are full. Oh,
and now do you still need comic books, Black Panther comic books and ties?
So I'm collecting Black Panther comic books or novels, as well as brand new ties. I'll also post a link where you can purchase ties and where you can get the comic books or the novels, because I would like each boy, we're going to have 100 boys, each boy to walk away with a comic book or a novel and a brand new tie.
Nice. I love that. And we're going to be seeing Black Panther soon, so go out and support. But at the same time, brothers, come on out for this event. We need to see you. Just in a volunteer standpoint, just to be standing around saying, brothers, I see you. Young brothers, anything we can do for you, so we appreciate you. I want to actually showcase this T-shirt from my man KB. I mean, not T-shirt, this sweatshirt. Let me see. I'm not getting a good angle here, and it's showing up the wrong way.
King of the Jungle.
Call me King of the Jungle. So we got that. Again, welcome back to the Culture Divide Experiment. We're going to be going crazy this year. We're going to go. We're going to be in an unsafe place. Okay, we're talking about some real stuff. Last year we kind of played it politically safe. This year we're going all out. So thank you for tuning in, folks, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.